Hi, this is Bridget with Life on Spectrum, and in this episode we're going to continue talking about the IEP, or the Individualized Educational Plan. We're going to specify or talk about Section 3, which is in the transition section. I said before, when we were talking about the present educational levels, that this section does not need to start being completed until the age of 14. That is a federal law, so it's starting at the age of 14, or if they turn 14 within that year, this needs to start being completed. In other words, if your child is 13 years old and they're going to turn 14 in 8 months, this section should be completed because they're going to turn 14 within that next year of the IEP. So make sure this is done. What's crucial about the transition section is it kind of gives you a game plan or an action of what possibly your son or daughter could do in the next anywhere from the next 4 or 8 years, depending on how long they stay within the educational system. Remember, your son or daughter could go to school until the age of 21, and this lays out the plan. There are 3 areas of concern in the transition section. The first one is post-secondary education. The one thing I want to say to you is post-secondary education doesn't necessarily mean a 4-year college. It could be a 2-year college, it could be a certificate program, it could be a career technology center, it could be a wide variety of things. It could even consider training on the job. So post-secondary education doesn't necessarily mean college. Now, if that is your goal for your son or daughter, by all means, please, make sure that they have different activities or goals towards that. But I just wanted to specify that post-secondary education is not just a typical 4-year college anymore. The second part of the transition section is the work-related skills or job-related skills area. This section should be completed for, in my opinion, every student. This is to prepare them to start getting a full-time competitive job. Now, even if your son or daughter is lower functioning at age 14, the goal would be to give them a full-time job. It may not be until 25 or 30, but this is the game plan, and these are activities that could help them towards that. And the last part of the transition section is independent living skills. This could range for a wide variety of things. It could include things like hygiene. It could also include things like transportation or riding the public bus, or even providing their own driving license. Independent living skills could also be cooking and cleaning and taking care of themselves or an apartment. Now, a lot of times, depending on the level of your child, this section may not be required by the school district. If you think that they're on the correct path of independent living, this section could be written off the IEP, stating that at this time the IEP team does not seem necessary. However, if you think there are skills that your son or daughter needs, by all means, you should talk to the IEP team and start including it. Now, I just wanted to give you one other scenario that I wanted to talk about with the transition. Excuse me. One of the things that they have to do is make sure there's a goal that is connected to each of these 3 sections of the transition. And what I wanted to talk to you about is those goals could be something as simple as reading comprehension. The reason I want to explain that to you is some of you may be thinking, well, what does that have to do with work-related skills? Well, if they don't read, that might be one thing that they need to read or work on in order to have a full-time, job or occupation. Just like if they have a math goal, that math goal could actually go towards post-secondary education, because one of the things that you need to do is do some basic math skills in order to get into certificate programs or any other kind of training programs. So just please understand, it doesn't necessarily mean the school district has to teach your son or daughter to actually do a job. It means that they have to supply the skills in order to do these activities or things within the community or within your home. So please keep in mind with that. But there will be other episodes that I may suggest for you to watch in order to increase other transition skills that will be available throughout your district. So keep in mind and look for those episodes. But for right now, that is Section 3, the transition section of the IEP, and I'm Bridget with Life on Spectrum. Thanks for watching that episode, and make sure you come back and join us again for upcoming videos. They'll be uploaded almost on a daily basis. Also, if you really enjoyed us, like us below, or even leave a comment for us to respond back to. And if for all of you that are really involved in the Life on Spectrum, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We appreciate you. We hope that this is worthwhile for you, and we'll see you next time on Life on Spectrum.